Picture a city where daily life is beautiful yet dangerous. A city of breathtaking coastlines, ancient history, and world-famous pizza, but also a place where invisible hands control the economy, politics, and even the lives of ordinary people. In Naples, the shopkeeper selling bread may be paying a silent tax, garbage dumped in the fields poisons the soil, and a teenager with a gun can decide the fate of a family. This is Naples, the city that has given birth to one of the oldest and most elusive criminal organizations in the world, the Gomorrah. The Gomorrah is not a new invention of the modern age. Its roots stretch back to the 17th century, when Naples was under Spanish rule. The city was overcrowded, poor, and unstable, and small gangs emerged, offering protection to ordinary citizens in exchange for payment. Over time, these thugs evolved into structured brotherhoods, bound by violence and loyalty. Unlike the Sicilian Mafia, which built a rigid hierarchy with a single godfather at the top, the Gomorrah grew as a federation of many small clans. Each clan controlled its own territory, its own streets, and its own people. This horizontal structure gave the Gomorrah a unique strength. It was resilient. Even when one boss was arrested or killed, the rest of the system continued without collapse. By the 1800s, the Gomorrah had already become deeply involved in politics. They manipulated local elections, offered their muscle to politicians, and in return gained influence in city affairs. In many ways, they acted like an invisible government, a power that the poor could rely on more than the official state. This intertwining of politics and crime laid the foundation for their survival over centuries. The Gomorrah's empire is built on money, not just intimidation. Over the decades, they expanded into every profitable business they could touch. Extortion became a daily reality for local businesses, as shopkeepers and factory owners were forced to pay protection money to survive. Cigarette smuggling brought them billions during the 20th century, turning Naples port into a hub for illegal tobacco across Europe. Drugs brought even more wealth. From heroin in the 1970s to cocaine in the 1980s and beyond, Gomorrah clans positioned themselves as key distributors for international cartels. Their decentralized structure allowed each clan to manage its own drug network, and this made their business nearly impossible to dismantle. Counterfeit goods became another booming trade, with Naples producing endless knockoffs of famous designer brands. Ironically, a city known for fashion and craftsmanship also became the capital of fakes. And behind the facade of normality, the Gomorrah was quietly infiltrating construction companies and winning public contracts, ensuring that every major development in Naples and its surrounding areas was touched by their influence. But perhaps the darkest and most destructive of all Gomorrah businesses was waste management. In the 1990s and 2000s, Naples became infamous for its garbage crisis, with mountains of trash piling up in the streets. At the heart of this crisis was the Gomorrah. Clans had established companies that won government contracts to dispose of waste legally, but instead of following regulations, they cut costs by dumping toxic industrial waste into fields, quarries, and even farmland. This deliberate poisoning of the land created an environmental catastrophe, with entire regions becoming contaminated and cancer rates rising. For the Gomorrah, this was a gold mine. For ordinary families, it was slow and invisible death. Violence has always been a hallmark of the Gomorrah because its fragmented structure fuels constant rivalry. Unlike the Sicilian Mafia, which values stability and secret negotiations, the Gomorrah often resolves disputes with open bloodshed. In the 1980s, one of the most violent figures in Gomorrah history, Raffaele Cutolo, attempted to unite the clans under his organization, the Nuova Gomorrah Organizzata. His attempt at centralization unleashed chaos. Rival clans resisted fiercely, sparking a war that led to massacres, bombings, and hundreds of deaths. Later, the Casalesi clan rose to prominence, expanding beyond Naples and controlling entire regions with an iron grip. Their power was so great that it took enormous trials involving hundreds of witnesses to break them down. But even as old clans fell, new ones emerged, and the cycle of bloodshed never truly stopped. In today's Naples, teenage assassins on scooters, the so-called baby gangs, still shoot openly in the streets, seeking to make their names in the underworld. Although the Gomorrah is rooted in Naples, its influence stretches far beyond Italy. Through drugs, counterfeit goods, and money laundering, the clans have formed connections with South American cartels for cocaine imports, Eastern European gangs for arms trafficking, and Chinese syndicates for counterfeit markets. Gomorrah money flows into businesses in Germany, Spain, the United Kingdom, and beyond. Unlike the Sicilian Mafia, which often kept its focus within Italy and the United States, the Gomorrah embraced globalization. It became an invisible shareholder in the international economy, investing dirty money into legitimate industries abroad. The reason for their endurance lies in a culture of fear and silence. In Naples, the code of omertà, or silence, continues to protect the clans. Witnesses to crimes often look the other way, terrified that speaking out will bring revenge not just on them, but on their families. Shopkeepers who refuse to pay the pizzo can see their businesses burned to the ground. Ordinary families live under a quiet pressure, knowing that the Gomorrah can punish defiance in brutal ways. But the Gomorrah does not rely only on fear. In areas of deep poverty, clans provide loans, jobs, and even a form of twisted justice where the state is absent. For some, they are criminals. For others, they are providers of survival. Yet, resistance exists. Judges, prosecutors, and police have dedicated their lives to fighting the Gomorrah, many paying with their blood. Journalists, too, have played a vital role. Roberto Saviano, through his groundbreaking book Gomorrah, exposed the Gomorrah's empire to the world, showing how they had infiltrated industries from fashion to waste disposal. His bravery earned him death threats and forced him to live under constant police protection, but his work shed light on the shadows. Citizens have also fought back, creating anti-extortion movements and reclaiming properties once owned by the clans, transforming them into schools, cultural centers, and farms. These acts of defiance may not destroy the Gomorrah, but they represent hope and courage in a city often overshadowed by fear. Today, the Gomorrah continues to adapt. While violence still erupts, many clans now prefer to operate in white-collar crime, manipulating public contracts, hospitals, and even European Union funds. A construction company controlled by a clan can appear legitimate while funneling millions into criminal pockets. This blending of legal and illegal makes the Gomorrah even more difficult to fight. The decentralized nature of the organization ensures that even when bosses are arrested, others rise instantly to fill the gap. Unlike the fall of a godfather in Sicily, which could destabilize the entire structure, the Gomorrah's web-like design guarantees its survival. The story of the Gomorrah is ultimately a battle for Naples' soul. On one side are the clans, wealthy, ruthless, and deeply entrenched in everyday life. On the other side are citizens, activists, and authorities struggling to create a city defined not by crime, but by culture and resilience. The Gomorrah reveals how organized crime thrives in poverty, in weak institutions, and in silence. It also reveals the strength of those who refuse to surrender. Naples is a city of contradictions: beauty and violence, art and corruption, hope and fear. And the Gomorrah embodies those contradictions more than anything else. As Naples stands between its glorious past and uncertain future, one haunting question remains. Will the city's next chapter be written by its people or by the hidden underworld that has already claimed centuries of control?